Hey, what's up, man? How are you
Can you hear
today?
me? Oh, one sec. My end. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, how's it going?
How are you today?
Good, good. What time
Okay,
is it over there for you?
it's 10 p.m. for me.
Damn,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, you wanted to do a
not too
coaching
late.
session on some blue farm, right?
Yeah, bro. I was playing Kennen before.
Mm-hmm.
Did a couple sesh with Waffle, but then I was like trying a new deck out every week because I'm kind of new to Magic, I guess,
Gotcha. How long have you been
and
playing?
since Bloomborough.
Bloomborough, okay. That's it. Like, it had low-key bangers, sleepers coming
Yeah,
out of it.
and in New Zealand, pretty small country, but the couple tournaments I went to, like. I got caught off guard because I didn't know what Inala did, you know what I mean? Like it was before my time.
Gotcha, gotcha,
So that's why I tried to play try different decks every now and then. So I understand what the fuck's going on sometimes.
gotcha.
And then I played Blue Farm and I just really enjoyed it.
That's good
Feels
then.
OP.
That's yeah. It. I think
Feels nice, you know, every card I draw is all fucking dead.
it's the best deck in the format right now, in my opinion. All your all your draws are really live, and
Yeah.
you feel like every decision you make actually matters.
And and also like Kenna's pretty popular and well, popular in general.
Hmm.
And I'm like hard targeted right away before the game even starts. Which
Sometimes
which is which is fine, but um
that's when you gotta point out other things in the pod, right? There's still three opponents in the
yeah,
pod.
yeah, now with more experience, and now I know more like the community, like at first I didn't know anyone.
Hmm.
Now I play with everyone, so it's much easier to like politic, you know?
Gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah.
So what
Yep.
what made you want to like play Blue Farm? Like, I know you said it was like OP or whatever, right? But
Yeah. I mean, I just want to win to be honest. So I've been our tournaments are like barely tournaments, they're tiny as, but Um, out of the three I've been in, I've been top four twice,
okay, okay,
which is not bad, but like I said, it's very tiny amount of people.
gotcha.
But I still haven't won as well either.
Hmm.
So I feel like,
Well, it takes a little time to become the peak.
and also, in my area, the meta is a lot of creatures.
Gotcha.
Like we also have like random stacks decks, and you know, not every deck is CDH meta.
Okay, okay.
And so.
With Blue Farm,
Like blue
it's
farm feels nice because there's not much creatures
mm-hmm.
in the deck. You know what I mean?
It's a
And
super flexible deck. So if you want to,
yeah,
we can also just make another Blue Farm deck and just tech it to your meta as well. That's what I used to do.
oh yeah, yeah, of course, sounds good. I
Okay.
just been running your list because it's you've been winning and it looks pretty good. I like everything.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't really have much to add or
Gotcha. No worries. We can obviously change some stuff if that's required. I guess you've been playing the deck for a little bit, so have you had any like stress moments with it? Anything that's like not been good?
uh, I guess I have a couple questions. First is Remora is not that great in my meta.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I'll place meta because we've
Uh,
got so many creatures
yep.
that most players just play don't even play rocks that much rocks, you know, apart from like the one other opponent. So I realized when I played Kinnan that I was told to mull for Remoras and Ristics basically
Mm-hmm.
every game, right? Which I do.
Gotcha,
And Ristic is fine, obviously, but Remora just sometimes I get hard punished,
gotcha.
especially when I mull low. And then so In this deck, I kinda don't. I guess I'm not as familiar because I'm new to it. I
Yeah,
don't
no worries. I think
know what to fall to. Whereas in Kinnan, I feel like I usually have enough mana to afford the fish. That
yeah,
obviously it's pot dependent, but like usually mulling to fish is pretty decent enough anyway.
gotcha. One thing I used to do right is there was a lot of stacks around when I used to start playing too, where it's like
Yeah.
Winota creature decks like that, Kinnan even.
Yeah.
Um, you can you can severely hard punish those decks just by tutoring out wheels instead of Remora. Like you can mull
Oh,
for a wheel instead, because we have access to so many more rituals in those decks. Those decks can't afford to play like Coiling the Weak, Cabal Ritual and stuff because they're required to play the more creature centric.
yeah.
So
Okay.
if the Remora plan is not working, obviously Ristic Study is way better than a wheel. Um,
Yeah.
you can mull for a wheel just to reset your hand, um, and you can also mull for the One Ring too, especially with how slow creature decks usually are. Um,
Yeah.
you're able to get your ring on to like 3 or 4 counters, and by the time you draw that many cards, you should be able to assemble something like silence into win
Yeah.
condition, right? Um, this deck is pretty good at going under the stacks decks as well. You see rituals like Jessica's Will, right? Culling the Weak, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual. I guess these are a little bit more standard, but Culling the Weak isn't something that blue most other blue farm decks, especially like the mid range control ones, are running. And you can really leverage the mana into like an early Necropotence or Ad Nauseam, and you can convert before they land any other stacks.
I guess sometimes it's awkward because I don't have creatures in play.
Gotcha.
To and I guess I'm really new to Blue Farm. When I first started playing, well, like, how many games have I played right now? Let's say like maybe only 15, 15 games. Um, I feel like when I first started playing, I didn't even think about my commanders. Like half the times I didn't even,
Oh,
when I first played,
you don't have to worry about your commanders really. They're
like 9 out of 10 games, I didn't even play my commander once, and
yeah
I'm like jamming Loki.
yeah the the card quality in this deck is so crazy that your commanders are actually one of your worst plans to be going for. You can always fall back onto them, and they are pretty stable game plans, right? They just say draw a card on them, and then all your cards make mana or interact or win the game on them.
So, but what if, like I said, Remora is not a good card in this particular pot I'm in?
Gotcha.
Isn't is
Uh, to
mulling for
then
a early good?
if your pod isn't really good for a Remora, like even sticking like a turn one Esper Sentinel isn't bad because you just curve into Timna
Oh yeah,
and you
still
just
fine.
draw
Yeah,
cards with both of these. Like even with Timna and Esper, you're already more likely to win the game, right? Because you don't have to invest mana into Remora, especially if it's not doing anything in your meta. In my meta, it's
yeah,
extremely spell heavy, but I obviously still see a bunch of Rograk Thrasios and Kinnan too. And those decks still
yeah,
play non creature spells early because they want to play like their Chromoxes, their Mox Diamonds, Soul
yeah.
Rings, and stuff. So you can even land like a turn one Remora, draw like 1 or 2 cards, and then curve into Ristic Study or whatever you want later. Like you don't have to keep the Remora around forever.
I guess my habit with Kennen was I low-key keep Remora forever as I can, as long as I can.
Oh,
But
that's
what
me
do you
too.
think of
That's
this
me
game?
too. I
Yeah,
guess
but yeah, I sometimes can't afford it, you know?
yeah, for sure. Because we don't have the mana acceleration that Kennen does. That card is so crazy.
Yeah. So I low-key got stuck on the card, yeah, like keeping or not, I'm doing nothing for 3 turns,
Gotcha.
not drawing enough, and it
Um,
feels like a bad play.
okay. Let's do some mulligans. Can you see my screen still?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
all good here.
Okay. Let's say this is a first seven, right? Are we keeping?
Yeah. And now go next.
Okay.
I'm doing nothing forever.
Yep. What about this hand?
Second seven. I will. I think turn two fish is like pretty too slow. So I will mull this, to be honest.
I agree. I think with this, right, you have a lot of protection, but these aren't
Oh,
really online until later, realistically,
yeah.
and turn two fish, like you said, isn't that great. It's also just a little too slow.
I also I guess maybe I struggle with seating
Mm-hmm.
and like matchup because I'm so used to practicing Mox field stuff and
Gotcha,
you know what
gotcha.
I mean? But
Okay.
like seating in real life,
Here.
sometimes it's like fuck. I'm always fourth seat in top four. It's my fault, but like
Oh, no
I'm always in
worries.
that position and it's fucking rough, you know?
Let me actually generate a pod from my other server, and I'll just say it out loud what we're playing against.
Okay, I'll write it down as well.
Okay.
So
Let's say first seat is Rogsai.
Lamau, okay, yep,
Second seat is us on T and K.
yeah.
Third seat is Magda, and fourth seat is Rogsai.
Bro, this is so cancer. What is this?
It's what the bot gave me. But what are your initial thoughts going into this pod?
I mean, I guess I'm the police, right? And don't I just auto lose if I'm the police?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What I like to do in these sort of pods is, um,
At least I'm sick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, you don't, you'd never want to be table police if I'm being honest. It's just like, it's horrid because you're using your resources to survive instead of winning the game. But sometimes you have to survive before you win the game, right?
Remora goes out, yeah, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Remora goes hard. Turn one Sentinel also goes hard. Something you can do is Rogsai's in first seat, right? And
Yeah,
there's another Rogsai in fourth seat, and there's a Magda in third seat. Like you can talk to the people later in seat order before you even mulligan, right? You can just ask them, "Hey, are we able to just be a little bit more responsible this game?" There is a Rogsai in first seat, right? And they can convert
yeah,
their resources more readily available because they'll have they'll have the turn advantage, right? Being in first seat. So if you guys can collaborate to stop to not die, like that's the perfect scenario for you here.
okay.
Yeah. So like let's say we're first seven in this pod, right? Are we keeping this hand?
But we have no interaction, so I guess no.
Okay. Let's go to a second seven.
Uh, one land that's blue. I think no, because the only thing saving us is Flusterstorm, and you're not really doing anything forever either.
Right, right, right. Something in this pod specifically is that you wanna have a fine line between interact like not dying and also progressing yourself in this game, right? Because
Yeah,
if the rock sides blow each other out, you still need a way to play the game. So let's go
yeah.
to six here. What are your thoughts on this?
Uh, one land. We have hella interaction. This is second seven?
This is six.
Six. Oh man. That's so yikes either. I think ooh, oh man. One more land? Maybe, right?
So
Oh
personally for me, I'd never keep a hand like this. You don't even get a guaranteed land drop to like see a bowmaster, and there aren't any like advantage pieces.
If there was like a fish, right?
Yeah.
That's
If
what it
this
looked like.
was like fish instead of OBM or something like that, I would I would keep this even though we only have one land. The idea that we're going to draw cards off of rock site is extremely likely.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
just the free interaction keep keeps us alive really fast. You can even I don't recommend doing this, but you can also snap back like a Bergie if it comes down for rock side before their next turn, right? Just to time walk them because they're really
Yeah. Yeah.
reliant on that mana. So
Yeah.
let's
Oh,
say
bear with my.
we go to like a 5, right? Are we keeping this 5?
Uh, no, because there's nothing again.
Yeah, yeah. Um, if it was like a 4, I'd actually just keep this, right? Because it's just turn 2 fish. Once you mull lower,
You don't have.
your objective isn't really to interact anymore. It's
Yeah.
just to progress yourself. So let's mold a 4 in this pod. This is horrible.
Yeah, it must be a bad deck, bro.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Let's mold a 3 just for fun. Oh, okay. This is
Do you ever go to three?
yeah. I go to 3 and 2 all the time looking for land fish. Like it's not even a joke anymore. It happens so often. But you can high roll this hand and get like a turn 2 necro if you top deck a land. On 3 that it's suitable because you're already mulliganing yourself out of the game.
How do you even play Necro? Like usually do you just hit like a 9 or 10 and then you hit
Sure,
a 20?
sure. Let's just pretend this is like a
I
first.
I struggle playing Necro, I think, because
It's a
sometimes I
really
Necro so early that even hitting 30 cards is not not enough because I mean it's luck,
gotcha.
right? But my
How
deck might be too full,
mm-hmm. How I
I
like to
feel like
how I like to
sorry.
play Necro. No worries. Is that if you can turbo it out on turn 1 or 2, you most likely don't have the mana production to full send right away. So, for
Yeah.
example, right, let's just like make up a random like scenario, right? Let's say you have a turn 1 Necro with land, Dark Rit, and then like 4 other random cards, right? Um, what you're doing here is just land, Dark Rit, Necro, right? And then you're just going to pay 7 life, right? Just an arbitrary number. That's not a full send. All you're doing is looking for a blue land here, since you've already casted your Necro.
Okay.
The reason why you want a blue land here is so you can find a flash enabler on your next turn and just full send for it. The best way I can put it is if you have Necro plus mana, your odds of converting a mana is extremely high versus converting a turn 1 Necro with literally no mana is impossible.
Okay, can you just quickly show like just go through how you would play this exact?
Sure. So with this
Like,
exact thing, right?
yeah.
I would literally just land Dark Rit Necro and then pay
So you'll
7.
keep this at your first 7?
No. If this was like a 5, I would keep this. Like if you're
Oh,
pitching like Cavern of Souls Grand Abolisher, right? Because these cards aren't worth keeping right now, and Necro will find you another land.
yeah.
So let's say for a 5, right? You're finding this, and your whole pod doesn't run interaction, which to be honest is also a great strategy in this pod, because everyone is going to be mulliganing for aggressive hands, right? Since Rogside doesn't tend to keep up interaction for you, it keeps interaction for itself. And when
Yeah.
it mulls greedy like this, it tends to not have a lot of interaction for you.
Okay.
And you're in second seat too, so you can abuse the turn order. So let's say for a 5, you're bottoming these, right? Because I don't.
Yeah.
This is literally just a colorless land when you're playing Necro. and you'll find another land here. So we'll bottom these, and then we'll draw for turn, right? Oh wow, we found a command tower. How lucky. But land Dark Rit
Yeah.
Necro. I will literally
Yeah.
just pay 7 life. We'll go to 33. We'll put
Yeah.
move to end step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here I'm literally just keeping mana and interaction here. 1, 2, 3. I think we can keep this too. I think actually just keeping the scrub here is better because we have access to blue and black, which casts all of our other rituals too.
Yeah.
So we can just keep an enlightened tutor here. And we can move these to exile. On our next turn, we won't draw a card because of Necro, but we'll untap and play a land, right? And then at
Yeah.
this point, you play a Lotus Petal, and then you can literally full send your Necro from 33. I usually go down to 4 from this position
Yeah.
because it accounts for Force of Will and Vamp Tutor,
Yeah.
which puts you at exactly 1 life afterwards. It also
Yeah.
accounts for Lightning Bolt too if you're going to get bolted after you Necro.
Yeah.
But for this example, right, we'll just Necro down to 4, so that's 29 cards.
Yeah.
We'll put 29 into our hand. And then here we found the Born, we found a Rain of Filth, we found a Soul Ring, we found Rite of Flame, we found Lion's Eye Diamond, we found Brain Freeze, we found Final Fortune, we found some more mana. Here you can Enlighten Tutor, and I'm pretty sure you have enough mana to crack the horn with the horn for this pile. It's also just a really unlucky pile. That's crazy. But you can just take an extra turn here after you flash speed all your rituals out. Take another turn and then just put a breach on top and keep LED and Brain Freeze. And then from this position, you can convert your Necro on your next turn as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Damn. So you full send this like whenever you get the chance.
yeah. Because the likelihood you convert Necros in this meta is extremely high. Because literally everyone is mulliganing for Ristic Study at this point. Even Rogsai mulligans for Ristic Study nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay.
Some other things like I'd like to add is like let's say for example we have a Necro in play, and we're trying to convert a pile, right? And this is with specifically like top deck tutors like Vampiric and Mystical, right? Let's say you have Necro and some random stuff in play. This is turn 2 and you've paid like 7 life already, right?
Yeah.
And this is exactly your hand. What you can do here is you can send down some more life. Let's say, so we want to be at the threshold of 4, right? I'll go to 6 in this scenario. You'll put the 20 or so cards in exile, right? And then
Hmm.
you can Mystical Tutor to check if a Born is in this pile or not. And if it is, you just grab more mana.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, the top deck tutors are so broken with Necro because you can figure out what your
Oh, you go
entire
afterwards.
pile is.
Oh, wait, that makes sense though.
Yeah. So you never want a Mystical Tutor before you start paying life into Necro. It's only after, and you want to save some extra life so you can just find the Born, find a Dark Ritual, pay the extra life, and then go for it with the extra knowledge of what's in here.
Oh, so you already go down to almost full life, but before you hit full life, you check if
Yeah. You
born,
use like a top deck tutor to check. Obviously, with
and then
Vamp, you'll go to like 7 or something.
and then you then you just pay more life
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
put in
Then
the
you
pot.
just like put the born on top, and you'll just exile it with Necro, and then you can resolve the whole Necro pile into
Oh,
your
okay.
hand.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's something that some people that aren't as experienced with Necro fuck up the first time they do it, and that leads to lower conversion. This card is extremely busted.
Dude, I don't understand why I didn't think about that. It feels so like, yeah, pretty cool though.
Yeah. Let's go into some more mulliganing, just so we can
Cool.
get it.
I have a pod
Hmm.
for us this time. I have a pod for us.
Sure, sure, sure.
Um, we're gonna have let's have Magda for a seat,
Sure.
Kenrith second seat,
Kenrith.
I think we'll see. Us third seat
Sure.
again, I guess. And last seat will be I don't know, a random stack stick, like you know what I mean?
Uh,
Creature
what stack do
doesn't
you
matter.
want?
Um, I don't know. You just come up with one. It's fine.
Sure. Let's look up on EDH top 16. What's the first stack on here? Technically, it's
Let's have
Magda.
Tivit actually. Let's have Tivit. Let's have Tivit last seat.
Tivit last seat. Sure, sure, sure. Um,
Okay.
so in this pod composition, what are your initial thoughts so far? Like, what is everyone trying to do? Because that's what I ask myself when I sit down in every pod is what is everyone trying to do, and what should I do in this pod?
Okay. So obviously Magda is sending it, right? So we need interaction to remove Magda. My, my funny story. Our meta, no one knew what Magda did because we have not much players, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Magda just like wipes everyone, and now we understand what Magda does
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
we've like lost her out of nowhere too many times. That's so funny. Kenrith, I still to this day like Kenrith is kind of five color good stuff maybe like you don't know what he
Oh
does,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a jack of all
That's
trades
very
deck.
hard. That's very hard to, but I guess I know the player now, so I know it's more like grindy mid range.
Mm-hmm.
So is Tivit. Tivit's just grind, right?
So
So maybe some
pers
stack,
so
but grind.
personally, when I sit down at this pod, I am I am looking for a draw engine because this game will go very long and very grindy just based on all four decks, right? Your evaluation of Magda is correct that it can be a fast deck, but it also leans towards just being slower and stacksier just to confirm its wins. Um, the main
Okay.
things you want to worry about your opponents is like their threshold of their window. So Magda, their first activation is most of the time, usually, not lethal, and you can ask them what they are doing too. Like you can use your mouth to ask what they're
Yeah.
doing. Magda requires usually 10 treasures to win, right? Because they need to get a artifact creature and a clock of omens into play to present their loop.
Yeah.
Obviously, other things change that threshold to like 5, right? Whether they have like a roaming throne or whatever. So you just have to
Yeah.
be just critically analyzing what they're doing at all times and what all your opponents are doing at all times. And if they're close, right, you can literally just look at the other players and say, hey guys, they're exactly one activation off from winning because they have a universal automaton in play or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or and this might be a little like frowned upon, but if your opponent bleeds information, you you should most of the time keep it to yourself unless it is extremely detrimental to the pod, right? You don't want to lose to Magda because they showed you a roaming throne on accident and then you just don't tell the pod that they had a roaming throne. Like Um,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense, right? We're here to win, so sometimes those extra percentage points from people bleeding their hands also comes into
But
effect.
how do I say that? Because I know bleeding hands happen all the time,
Sure, sure, sure.
and but how do I communicate that without
Oh, sure, sure, sure. I
it?
mean, like, um, you don't have to tell your opponent that they are bleeding your hand. I usually do because that's just out of common courtesy. Um,
Yeah, I
but
always tell them like, oh, you're showing your hand.
you can all you have to do all you have to do is be polite and be gentle, right? You don't want to be the asshole, obviously. You want to
Yeah,
be like, hey man, I saw a roaming throne in your hand. I ask that you don't bleed your hand any further. I like we're still playing a game of Magic the Gathering, so just letting you
yeah,
know, right? And because you communicated that, your opponents also internalize that there's a roaming throne in the Magda's hand, which also
yeah.
leads more threat onto them when you're just sitting
Yeah.
back behind like a draw engine or
This
whatever.
happens all the time, to be honest.
Hmm?
Like, I feel like this situation happens all the time.
Sure, sure, sure. Like just
Yeah,
be polite about it. Be like, hey man, I saw blank in your hand. I ask that you don't bleed for the rest of the game or whatever. And honestly, if you do this in practice too, like it helps you become a better player because you're practicing against harsher conditions. So when slip ups like this happen in tournament, you're it's easier to take advantage of this.
I see. Yeah, because when I play with my mates, they bleed and I tell them, but then I like try to pretend it's not there or some shit. Because like, but I guess and I probably should just
Yeah, yeah,
practice
just call them out in
calmly.
practice, right? They're your mates, right? You guys are chill with each other too. So it's like you're practicing to win. So you want to practice under the harshest conditions.
Okay,
That
makes
way when you
sense.
get to like a random tournament, right, if you ever decide to travel over to the states, like you see someone bleeding, you don't have to tell them, and you can use that knowledge to your advantage, right? Because
Yeah,
you're usually not going to be playing against players that bleed your hand at home if you practice in these conditions.
true. All right.
Just some other things about this pod, right? Kenrith is a pretty slow mid-range deck in my experience, and Tivit
Yep.
is also a very slow mid-range deck, and it also plays creature hate, which is extremely beneficial to us because most of the Tivit hate doesn't actually do anything to us for the most
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
right? Like Grafdigger's Cage stops Kenrith and Magda activations somewhat. It also stops most of their like to the battlefield tutors. All it shuts off from us is Underworld Breach, and when you are assembling Underworld Breach, you already have so many resources that you are able to just bounce it or remove the stacks piece when you're ready to win.
Yeah.
But Graph Cage and Curse Totem actively slow down Magda and Kenrith in their whole game plan versus the end state, which is us with the Underworld Breach. So it doesn't like stop us from drawing cards from Ristic or anything like that.
Yeah. I have a question actually. So I always hear like off you guys videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That you guys wait, like you guys pile up resources and you wait till the very last moment to shoot or something.
Sure, sure.
And I don't think we do that here, but is that something I should be doing rather than
Oh yes.
because
So it
I
comes in.
jam a lot and I get caught out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it comes into this theory, right? The window theory. Are you familiar with this?
Not really. I just know.
Sure,
No,
sure,
no, not
sure.
really.
I'll send you a quick video after this so we don't waste a lot of time talking about it. But it's basically the window in which you have a high percentage of winning the game. Sometimes it's 100 sometimes it's 100% that you're going to win in this opportunity, or it's a 70%, right? And 70% is already higher than the aforementioned 25% at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But when your moments of winning are the highest is what's called a window, right? You have a window when all your opponents are tapped out and they don't have any resources to stop you.
Hmm.
And this comes back to like the piling up resources, right? You can slow down the game and you can grind it through, right? And you accrue more and more resources, right? Like if you look at the screen, right? Oh, let's say you have like Grand Abolisher in your hand and all this other like five piece of interaction, whatever, right? You're accruing more resources as the game goes on with all your advantage pieces, and then when you draw like interaction and silences and stuff, it opens the window more to you, and you have more resources available later on in the game to take advantage of all of this. So then it is extremely hard for them to stop you
Yeah.
versus trying to jam on turn two, right? You're usually doing it with like a dark writ, a cabal writ, and some lands in play. And if you get blown out, you have nothing else to do. The main thing about Ristic Study is that it's just a busted card, right?
Hmm.
It sits around forever, and because it sits around forever with no tax pieces, like Mystic Remora requires an upkeep, you're able to play in a way where you can just play rocks, play lands, and then through politicking, right, you can diminish resources, or you can control the board slowly and just have more
Do
tempo than
you
the other players. And through that, you'll just accumulate enough resources where you will win with overwhelming advantage, where they cannot stop you.
do you pay for your Ristic though? Like for other people's Ristic? Because I feel like a lot of times when let's say multiple people have Ristic out, do you just like not pay?
Oh, I don't pay for my taxes very often. Um,
Yeah, I feel
with
like as long as you have your own Ristic out, like you can afford.
So the main theory behind stockpiling, or at least in my local meta, is that everyone has Ristic Study in play, which is a little cancer. But whenever, let's say we're like this player, right? We're casting a
Yeah.
Mox Diamond, all three players draw, and then whenever this player decides to like play out their resources, then the rest of you will also draw resources, which means you guys all have resources to stop each other from winning the game. Um, and then
Mine's
through
usually like maybe one other heuristic,
Sure, sure, sure.
at most.
In this scenario, right, if uh, let's say you're first before their other heuristic, and you just like stockpile a bunch of goods, right? Obviously, they'll draw cards from it, but from this position, right, you can leverage that. Oh, I only have three cards left in my hand, so you can point
Yeah.
to the player with like 10 cards in their hand, right? Whether or not those cards are scary, they are still a threat because they have 10 cards and you have three.
Oh, that's an interesting way to, yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I would ever, or okay, that's an exaggeration, but the only reason I pay for Ristic Study is if I'm completely out of the game and this player is just so massively far ahead. Then at that point, obviously, you would use your mouth and say and like work together with the three other players to figure out some way to beat them, right? Because
You would
commander, what were you saying?
sorry, you would pay if if you're shooting for the win and you have the mana up though, right?
Oh, no, 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 no. Or yes, yes, I would. Like if you're in a winning position, you can pay for their study. Like what like to do, right, is I love this card just because, well, you can literally
Hmm.
just like target the player with Ristic Study and then just like make 10 mana and just cast all your spells and pay for it with the Jessica's Will mana.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
But the main the main thing is that you do not pay your taxes if it screws up your line.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing watching people or watching you and other people play, and it's um yeah, that's just what I've been trying. People, the pot I play with, like freak out, like, oh, why don't you pay, you know? But I
You
was like,
yeah, you can just like you can kind of brush them off. Obviously, they'll be a little annoyed at that, but then like later on in the game, you can kind of just point to them being a threat instead of you, because you technically gave them resources because of that. But
yeah,
it's like a four-player seesaw game, right? Like, and I
yeah,
like to have everyone in the game rather than just taking someone out of the game, because then the seesaw is extremely imbalanced.
okay. I have a tournament coming up, so I guess every game, unless it's like a clear jam, I should just
Oh yeah.
place to time.
So
We,
what?
we go to time lot A. I'm not gonna lie,
Say that
and then
again.
some people
Sorry.
run race just to draw. It's kind of fucked.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I said, we go to time a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then now a lot of people running Angel's Grace on top just to like fucking guarantee that shit. I
Jeez.
mean, it's kind of, but
Jesus.
there's no way. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
The best thing about this deck is that it can present early wins too. So obviously, if your windows open for themselves, you should take it. Um, Especially in my, or like I guess I'll talk a little bit more about my SCG con, but every game literally went almost two time, and it was me stockpiling resources with Ristic Study, and like even like Lotho is so good in this deck.
dude, that was so busted.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, it's just a 2-1 that makes money, and then literally one turn rotation goes around, like especially late game, you'll make like 6 treasures, 5 treasures, and you'll be like, damn, I just spent 2 mana for 5. That's gas, and it triggers
Love was so.
on your own spells. It's so good.
I
But
wish I wish there was more videos of you playing Heisenberg. I only saw you in the final. You guys got cooked by
oh yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
congregation, then assault. I'm like, okay.
We'll do a recap video about Heisenberg, but literally my first 3 games, or my first 2 games, like I cooked my first 2 games, like using Nas, or just like leveraging early Remora into letting it die and just spamming a bunch of resources and winning the game. Uh,
I wish I could see it, eh? Because it's like,
yeah. So like
yeah,
for example, like my round 1, I literally kept like gemstone fish, and uh, I literally just drew a couple spells. I got wheeled into like 3 rituals: Vamp Tutor, Grand Abolisher, Underworld Breach, and Lionside Diamond, and all I did was uh vamp for Cavern of Souls on my upkeep, and then I played the Grand Abolisher uncounterably, because I knew other people had interaction for Grand Abolisher, but they don't have interaction for uncounterable Grand Abolisher.
yeah.
And then from there you can, it just opens up the window so much more if you are able to abuse Grand Abolisher or Ranger Captain or Voice of Victory with the Cavern of Souls. I literally won every game at SCG Con, except for the finals, using Cavern of Souls plus
Gee.
uncounterable silence. Because
I,
all of
I
my,
feel like I never.
say that again.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I never get my games don't like I jam so early that I never get to the point where I can afford to play Gemstone and then like a Grand Abolisher, you know? Like
Yeah.
maybe I need to work longer, you know?
So the best thing about Blue Farm is that it rewards you for patience, because the card quality is so high. You just have, like, let's say for example, Rogthras has 10 cards and you have 10 cards. Your 10 cards are way more lethal than theirs ever will be, unless it's straight up like five different wins just because like
Yeah.
all the cards in your deck are so good at converting into mana or tutor or like an explosive burst of something you need, right?
Yeah.
Like
Every time I wheel, I feel like, damn, like I
yeah,
never like had a shit wheel. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's such a great deck. All everything feels really good inside of it. But like I said, right? Um, like we like to stockpile resources over here, and this is just the mid range breaker, right? If your opponents tap out and they're relying on like five pieces of free interaction to stop your win, like you literally slam this and this as your first spell and land drop. There is quite literally nothing in the game that is free that will stop this because Mind Break Trap is not turned online.
Yeah.
Like, I there's probably a spell that does this, but it's probably not played. But
Well,
it
so
is extremely so hard to stop this. And a thing to note with Cavern of Souls is that when you activate lands for mana abilities, you do not have to say to the table, "This thing is uncounterable." With Mistrise Village, that's a little different because you're activating the second part of a land, which isn't a mana ability.
so you just name human and you just cast it.
Yep. So like, in one of my Swiss rounds, I played a Cavern of Souls previously, on
Yeah, yeah,
human. I just cast a Facebreaker, and everyone was fine with that, right? No one counters Facebreaker.
yeah.
It's a pretty low key card too. With Tithe and Facebreaker, you can beat almost every Rhystic study because you for every draw they have, you just make treasures and exile your entire deck. But
Yeah, yeah. I
for
remember
that
you saying.
Swiss game, I played a Facebreaker on one of the turns, and then the next turn, I just played a Ranger Captain, right, with the Cabinet of Souls, and you don't have to say anything. You're just like, I'm casting Ranger Captain, uh, and someone used a Force of Will on it, and
Yeah,
that's a waste, right? That's something you can trip up people with if they're not paying
true,
attention
true.
with specifically
Like,
Cavern of Souls because they'll just waste a counter spell on it, and then you'll just maybe draw off Ristic Study or whatever you have in play, which draws you more gas too. And then once it lands, they're just dead.
true, true, true. Okay, that's cool. That's a good tip too.
Yeah. Let's see. We talked about mulligans. We talked a little bit about Blue Farm. I guess we can talk about like some tech cards that we can talk about, right? Because you said your meta's a little like Staxy and creature heavy. Um,
Yeah, we have it's so much stacks and most base players are on Timna, Frass,
okay.
um, and I was a Kinnan. There was like me, Kinnan, and a couple other Kinnans. Kinnan's just OP though, so always
Yeah.
does well.
Kinnan is so broken. I played it this last weekend at a tournament and I won. I was like, wow, this deck is stupid.
Oh, do you change it up sometimes?
Oh yeah. I've played a lot of different decks. Sometimes I just needed a break from Blue Farm, right? Like I've been
Yeah, fair
playing Blue
enough.
Farm for the last. I got back onto Blue Farm for the last month, and I put in so much time that like once I hit top four of Heisenberg, I was feeling burnout so hard. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's
fair enough.
nice to just play a different deck, right? You
Oh,
also
question. Do you always play Bergie on the other side?
oh Berg.
Because you mentioned in the videos, but then when I play Bergie in my hand, I'm like, oh, Jason plays on the other side. Maybe I shouldn't play it for free here.
So so like the use cases for Bergie is that you can like turn two, turn three Bergie super easily on the front side.
Yeah,
And it's great for just like curving out for value, right? You just play a bunch of rocks or whatever. You have Ristic studies, so you just like cast Bergie and bunch of rocks, bunch of good stuff, and it's kind of low
Yeah.
key. They don't really want to remove Bergie because Bergie's not actually worth it to remove in our deck because we're not playing like Krark Sakashima or anything. But
Yeah.
the biggest use cases for the backside is when you're, let's say you're in like, for the most part when I use it is when we're like almost overtime. I need to press my advantage, right? Because I've drawn like 7 cards with Ristic Study or whatever, or
Yeah.
even when you are about to win, I will pay for fish, or you'll have Ristic Study in play, and just drop a backside of Harnfell, and for every time they interact, you just draw a card, and if it's not a counter spell or mana, like you can just discard a Windfall or whatever, discard a Orcish Bowmaster, and see 2 more cards every time they interact. Uh,
Do
and
you have you ever like played the backside and just pass, even though you're not popping off that turn?
no. You cannot leave a horn in play and pass, because people are on like Phyrexian Metamorph copy artifact, and when people are casting it for that cheap, it's a little easier for them to storm off, and also horn on other people's turns is pretty bad without a flash enabler already in your hand.
5 mana is pretty steep. I guess my games don't. Maybe I jam too hard. I never get that much mana.
Gotcha.
Like I probably have to play.
Like the best case is like if you like early turn 2 Timna, you can like swing with her, and on turn 3, if you have like, I don't know, a couple rocks and stuff in play, you just cast a Jessica's Will and backside Bergie, and you can just discard all of your hand, and your likelihood of winning in that window is actually extremely high because of the density of tutors and wheels we have. Like a wheel just resets us and draws us 14 cards essentially with Harnfell in play.
Uh,
The
so
other
that's like a mini jam.
yeah, and you don't have to full commit if like, or you kind of have to if your some of your win cons are in exile, but at that point you're able to just fully jam with Bergie.
And I heard you also say you never play like voice and pass,
Oh
even
no,
though
it's all of the silences except for Ranger. It is extremely deadly now to just pass the turn with them in play because
makes sense.
playing a copy of Mockingbird, and everyone and their mom is playing like
Yeah.
Kinnan and Thrastimna, and those decks play a high density of
Other stuff.
clones.
Yeah.
So like let's say for example I pull up like Rog Thras and Kinnan, right?
Yeah. Clever
If
impersonator.
you
Okay.
pass with a voice in play, it's so easy for them to copy, right? Phyrexian Metamorph, Clever Impersonator.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Uh, People are running just clones nowadays that it's super easy to clone it. It's a terrible idea. Like I get that Voice of Victory has more text on it, so you can like early curve it, but like you aren't reliant on Timna to do most of your work, if at all. Like I would say she's like a B tier engine in the deck. If I were to put Ristic Study as S tier, she's quite
Yeah.
literally like B tier. You would rather play an Esper Sentinel before you start drawing cards off Timna, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just another like layer to Blue Farm on why it's like so great is that this strategy isn't even the best, right? Oh, silence with tokens on it plus card draw isn't the best strategy in your deck, which is something that is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Something you can do, however, is like if you have Voice of Victory in play, I've done this before, where you just Final Fortune, draw 3 cards, and then just sack the tokens to Culling the Weak and Diabolic Intent, it's like it's maximum euphoria.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And then you already have silence in play, so it's like almost guaranteed. Obviously, if you are final fortuning, you're just winning the game anyway. So,
Yeah, true.
is there anything, or I guess we can keep looking a little bit more, right? You say your meta is a little stacksy. I could recommend like a Teferi back in the deck if you find a slot for it, or just playing a more mid range pile. That way you aren't necessarily thinking about jamming too early, too often,
Yeah.
especially for newer players. I recommend just playing just good old regular blue farm where you're just drawing off Ristic Study and controlling the board. I made this list for one of my friends for the channel.
Oh,
We made
I've
a
seen the
video
video, yeah.
for her too. Um, but it's a pretty standard blue farm deck list, right? There's no like spice on it. It just plays good cards, and you just control the board. There's path and swords in the deck, so it's pretty good against creature decks, right? Um, Even Fire Covenant has been such a game changer, especially against like creature stacks. If you're able to just like end step, just wipe out all their stacks pieces before your turn, it's just lethal, right? They just lose the game. You can also do like an early value Fire Covenant too, just for tempo, right? You'll just draw 3 cards with Timna because there's no creatures for them to block, and then you just have massive tempo advantage over them. And this list probably runs a higher card quality um, than the one I'm playing, just because like Reign of Filth and all these like Jessica's Wills and stuff can be dead at times, but Swords and Path are always live, and they are a great piece of interaction,
Oh,
especially given what you were telling me about your meta.
okay, okay.
So that's something you might
Interesting.
wanna.
And it's on all the copy enchantment.
Yeah, 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 for sure. It's like it. I built this deck to basically interact until we get to overtime, and we just win 80 minutes until overtime because we can have 3 Ristic Studies, or like Ristic Studies, Smothering Tide, Remora, and then if your opponents don't
Yeah.
keep up in
You're
overtime,
cutting out a little bit, but
say that again.
yeah.
But
No, no, no.
once
You're
you
good.
reach
You're just cutting
over.
out a little bit.
Oh, okay, my bad. But once you reach overtime with this deck, you will have accumulated enough resources where if your opponents don't play the stack, they just automatically lose because you just have so much more resource advantage than them, and you have more interaction than they do. Especially playing
So why
against.
aren't you?
Say that
Oh, yeah.
again.
Continue. Sorry.
So like
No, you're good. Continue.
this deck leverages so much interaction to just get to the late game, right? A deck like Rograk Thrasios, it may seem like a like super interactive deck, but quite literally, it does not run a high enough density of counter spells to really stop you, right? Some people have cut Force of Negation from their deck, and they're running like only like a couple pieces, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Like nine isn't a crazy amount, and this is on the high end for Rograk Thrasios or decks like that, where they're like mostly cradle farming
Yeah.
while we're playing like all these pieces of interaction, and we're just naturally going to draw more cards because of the Ristic clones too, or even like copy artifact that usually copies a One Ring, or I just copy a Wish Claw and then the game's over. But what were you
So why
saying?
aren't you playing more like that?
Okay, so
I
uh,
was asking why don't. What's why you changed basically?
okay, sure, and that that's honestly a great question. I actually used to play this version last year, right when bans hit. I was playing Containment Priest. I was playing Mirror Maid, I was playing all the copy effects, and my my win rate hasn't been so high since then. But um, I quite literally think it's such a cancer strategy that I don't want to play it anymore. And this deck is just more fun. The this other one. Um, the other thing is that um, with more Rograk Thrasios in my meta, I think I can leverage my windows more, and this deck definitely gives you more windows than the other one, just because you are playing a higher density of rituals that will help you convert in the early game.
Yeah, my meta we have zero rock crest. Like
Yeah, yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So do
for
you still recommend that?
what do you say?
Do you still? Because my meta we don't have rock crest, and I had a problem in Kennen for a while where like not many people play Ristic and stuff because they're all creature based. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
always that one player, right,
Gotcha.
who's farming everyone. So the copy's great, but like some games it's like if they don't hit the Ristic, then no one else
For
really
sure, for sure. And
like not like not like in your meta, it's like every game there's like fucking four of them, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like the idea and I played it for ages because I played Waffles List of Kinnan
Mm-hmm.
and I still do. But yeah, I just kinda did card sometimes.
For sure, for sure. And honestly, like the reason why I like this more is it just interacts more, and you can cut these if you don't think you're going to be able to clone them often, just for more interaction or more gas. That's the beauty of Blue Farm, is that it's super flexible. Um, the main reason why I'm playing
Would you
this.
put the new ban card?
Say that
Would you put
again.
the ban card in here?
Hmm. Oh, gifts
What's the
ungiven.
new ban card?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. In this like version of Blue Farm, I think it's great, right? It's just another intuition. Usually I don't tutor for intuition, and it's not really good in like the Bergie style deck, because you don't usually tutor for intuition in this deck. You literally just cast the Nas and convert it, cast the Necro and convert it, or you already have enough tutors where you just go like demonic tutor into breach off of like a culling ritual or a culling the weak, versus something like this deck, right? It'll love more value piles because it's trying to stay later, way later in the game.
I don't think I mentioned this, but from my experience, from how I won games in my tournaments, is I know there's lots of stacks or creatures, right? But people who actually win are the people who jammed
Say that
early,
again.
if that makes sense. People who have won in the past few tournaments won only because they've been kind of jamming, if that makes sense.
Gotcha, gotcha.
As
Um,
I know it's a little counterintuitive to what I've been saying, but it's like, but just yeah, from experience, everyone's maybe they play under the stacks, like they jam before the stacks. But even the games I've won are like, oh, turn to
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Basalt or like,
And I think this deck, the deck I'm currently on, is great at using its early windows to leverage a win. I haven't actually won very early except with Necro. I just haven't found the need to, obviously, because I play in the four-ristic meta. But what I just
yeah,
recommend for you is just keep attention, or like pay attention to what's in your pod, and if the windows yourself to present themselves to you, you can go for it. But if they don't, you don't have to overforce it. We're still one of the most grindy decks in the format. We naturally just draw as many cards as them, if not more, because of Ristic and One Ring, right? You're talking about a TNT stacks deck, right? We naturally, early game, we develop way faster into Ristics than they do, or
yeah,
whatever, right? We grind just as good as they do, with the exception of Seedborn Muse. And once you hit the later game, you're like either on par or you're a little bit ahead, and your conversion of resources is way higher than Tim the Thrasios. They'll draw like I've seen this so many times where Tim the Thrasios literally draws 30 cards and still cannot win because all of their cards are just stacks pieces or like dorks and tutors, right? Versus us, we draw Dark Rituals, we draw Culling the Weeks. These are fast mana Reign of Filth, right? They don't play Reign of Filth or Culling the Week. They don't play Cabal Ritual. They don't play Rite of Flame. And we're able to leverage the fact that we have all this free stuff into just wins way more efficiently than TNT ever will.
I see. Okay. Do you recommend me to try the other list, or should I just keep grinding this
It's
thing?
whichever you feel the most comfortable on. I do
Can you send me that?
I do have to say, um, the previous deck I used to play is a lot more beginner friendly, just because you're grinding it out. You have more opportunities to draw more cards, which gives you a little bit of decision paralysis. But at the end of the day, just having more resources uh, means means you have more ideas on what how to convert and everything. Um, the
Yeah.
current like red shell is extremely explosive, but if you make mistakes, it will punish you way harder.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Can you send me the link for the other list so I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
check
yeah.
it out right now?
I'll send you all the links for everything. Um, we
Sweet.
are like 6 minutes over, but I don't care about that. Um, do you have any more questions for today?
Uh, yeah. I just one more. Why don't you run I know you mentioned in the video you don't run gifts ungiven because
Mm,
it's 4 CMC and it's like too much
sure, sure, sure.
for your list. Is that just the reason? It's just too high CMC.
So I've talked about this extensively, but my main points on why I'm not going to play Gifts Ungiven in this red shell is just because whenever you can convert an intuition, you already have like you when you convert a Gifts Ungiven, you can already convert a intuition, and it is more mana efficient up
Yeah.
front, and you can have more availability of protection because of the one extra mana you have. Sometimes that doesn't matter and it's whatever, right? At that point, if you have accrued enough resources that you can convert a gifts or a intuition pile, you can also convert a gifts pile, and the like difference between those is very minimal.
Okay. So yeah, so I might suit the other list a bit more since you're grinding out more, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
might get more.
The other thing, right, is like some people argue that you can turbo out an underworld breach line way faster with a Gifts Ungovern, which is true, right? Because you get access to all four cards and you don't have to intuition again. But if you're trying to early gifts, it is just way better if you just cast an early ad nauseum instead and draw 20 cards instead of four. Just because the
But
density,
doesn't I see. But doesn't if you resolve your pile, don't you kind of just win?
you do win, but also just converting an ad naus is a you win in this deck as well because of all the rituals you have in this deck, right? Reign of Filth, Dark Ritual, Culling the Weak, Cabal Ritual, Rite of Flame, Jessica's
I get.
Will, Bergie, right? All of those add mana, and they
Yeah.
convert ad nauseum way easier because it's a black red shell, and Gifts is a bluish shell. It's like a Jeskai shell. When
Makes
you're
sense.
doing a Gifts pile.
And you're not on Miss Rise because it comes in tap sometimes, right? I assume.
So I've been like talking about this card a lot. It if you want to run it, it's probably in like the hollowed fountain slot. I prefer not to because I just like casting fish on turn one, and this gives you way more like
Chances, right?
yeah, it gives you a higher density of blue lands that come in untapped. But I would definitely
What's the
run Mistrise in the other deck just because your games are going so much longer. You have another effect like Cavern of Souls where it's like uncounterable silence. If you can't deal with this, you die.
uh why? What's the point of Spire of Industry? Like, why don't you cut that? It's just because of the Rubik mana, the Rainbow mana.
Yeah. The so we always have like a high density of artifacts, or I guess not really anymore without Crypt and Lotus. But every time I've played Spire, it's like later in the game and it's never dead. And when I
Okay.
do play it early, it's like a turn two land or even like a turn one land with like Chromox or whatever. It's not dead at all. And then it just
So do
like
I cut?
say, continue what?
Sorry, do I cut Hallowed Fountain instead then?
I would cut Hallowed Fountain just because just having access to all of your mana off of Spire is so important.
Okay.
Yep,
Cool. All right, cool. I'll give this a go and see how it goes.
sounds good.
Yeah, thanks for the actually
Of
couple cool
course,
things you told me.
no worries. And if you want another session, just hit me up.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, I could be down. What do you think? How I've done like games before and then done reviews. Is that possible?
Yeah. Like if you record games or whatever, right? We can go through it. All I ask is that you get like specific timestamps, and we can talk about whatever you want about the timestamp and what led up to it or what happened afterwards because of this or that.
Is it not possible to like play a game and then review?
Oh, sure. I don't really play games online. It's just something
It's
I
too
don't
hard.
have time for necessarily, and just getting a setup is too much right now.
Okay, never mind. That's fair enough.
No worries.
Yeah, I'll look into recording something then, and then maybe we can go through it.
Sounds good. Have
All
a
right,
great
cool.
day.
You too. This is PayPal for you or how's it work?
Do you have Venmo, anything like that?
Nah, I'm from New Zealand, bro. I don't think we even have it. Do we even
Oh,
have Venmo
gotcha.
here?
Yeah. You can just PayPal me. I'll send you all the info.
Sweet. I probably have to make an account, but I'll get it before end of day for me over here.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Awesome. Take care, man.
You
Bye.
too.